Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another show of Firestarter at Oxygen. My name is Dr. Ijlal, and today we're joined with, I would call him a seasoned veteran of the development industry. Fine gentleman, a very dear friend, finally has given us time for this program. His name is Anwar Khan, and he is the managing director and partner for Evamp Saanga. I hope I got that right. We'll talk to Anwar Saab himself. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Jan. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for taking that time. Very sweet of you. You know about our show. Thank you so much for giving us time once again. I have really bothered you a lot.
Not at all.
In the past few weeks. Tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start off with my educational background and my professional background. I have a degree in economics and marketing. So it's not really in the software development area, but this is where I ended up after spending about 4 years in the financial industry in Pakistan. And I belong, of course, to what is now the KPK province.
Lovely.
And I'm happy to say that although I've spent a fair amount of time abroad, I chose to come back to Pakistan to work here. And it's been great so far. We've been in business for about 11 years. And it's as you know, business over here every day. It's a new challenge every day.
It's a new battle.
Absolutely, it's a new challenge every day. So about myself, yes, I started working in the financial industry and banking, and then around 2001, I decided to start up my own business. And as it is at that time, there's this huge excitement about e-business and this and that, and
the right time to get into it.
Yes, I guess. Well, I think perhaps maybe that was a little too early because there was not much going on in Pakistan.
Not a lot of awareness on.
Yes, not a lot of awareness. So we would walk into different companies and somebody would say, "Ke mujhe ek promotional CD bana do," or somebody would say. So it was all anything that had to do with the internet for them was an IT e-business thing. So. That is partially what we wanted to do. We wanted to actually give people in Pakistan, companies in Pakistan, a better interface on the web, a better face on the web.
Lovely.
And that's where we started off. Very quickly after that, we moved into working on in the mobile segment. And we were, in fact, one of the earliest companies to actually to become value-added services providers to the mobile industry in Pakistan.
Which is really interesting because people are nowadays stepping into this industry.
Yes, that's right.
And you had done that so far.
Yeah, so we were at least 4 or 5 years ahead of the rest of the competition because around the middle of 2000 we saw around 2005 or so we saw many other companies jumping into this area. In fact, today there are also foreign competitors that we have in Pakistan who we are competing with. So yes, it became a very active industry after that. For us, it was it was just the web that we always knew would eventually mature onto the mobile, and the mobile itself being a very very interesting and a much more developed ecosystem in Pakistan compared to the web. So this was a very interesting area for us, and I'm glad that we took the punt then. There was no great research that we did before getting into this business, but we got into it and kind of flowed into it, and Alhamdulillah, we're still one of the biggest competitors in this area.
Mashallah, mashallah. Lovely. So tell me something. This is a really interesting name, and I'm so sure that there must be a sweet little story behind it as well.
Yeah.
Evamp Saanga.
Yeah.
Saanga, I gathered initially, and I discussed it with you as well.
Yeah.
Seemed like a Pathan or a name from KPK.
Yeah.
So, what's the name all about?
Okay, well, when we started off, I started off with the name Evamp, which perhaps a lot of customers even told me was not a really good name for a company, because some of them associated with me being a vampire, sucking blood, charging too much, which was not really the case. But Evamp was basically I guess it was just my way of taking the word revamp and using that as a
And
as a
to
as a
highlight the
company name. That's right. To
industry
highlight
in it.
the industry, as you said, into this name, where we wanted to actually change the face of corporates in Pakistan. And Saanga was, of course, my business partner, who we joined up after I had started up Evamp. And Sangha is this general area, from where he belongs in the Punjab, and it worked out because, like you said, in Pashto, Sangha is branch.
Bilkul.
So for me, it worked out. It was Evamp and the branch.
So tell me, how did this merger come into being?
Okay, well, the merger actually came into being when I called up a friend of mine who was working abroad for an ICT company to ask him which platform we should choose, because back then there were very few platforms available for mobile services. And बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
iPhone was a big buzz at that
Yes,
time.
the iPhone was just actually sorry, iPhone actually hadn't come in yet. It was much before that. So basically, it was the choice between taking Java or Brew as a starting point. And those were, of course, that was way back. So there was no Android and there was no iOS back then. And so I called him up, and of course, interestingly enough, he told me that he was planning on starting up a small company too, which he later did on his own. And he would sometimes call me up and ask me for advice, and sometimes I would call him up for advice. And then one day we decided that let's stop giving free advice to each other.
Back and forth.
Yeah, it's like let's stop the free advice and let's start working together. And so I thought that was a great idea.
And when was this?
This actually happened in the end of 2000, actually in early 2003. Yeah, so it's been a while that we've been together,
Tell
working
me
together.
something. I'm so sure our audiences must be thinking this right now as we speak. उस ज़माने में thinking about vast services, wasn't that, so to say, rocket science that we're talking about? Although the Androids were not there, the interfaces were not there, the smartphone hadn't hit the market or the culture, but फिर भी, you were talking about mobile technology.
Yeah.
So what made you think about it? And as you said, आपका तो background economics and marketing था. And I know marketing वाले हर जगह fit तो हो जाते हैं, but mobile?
बिल्कुल. Okay, well, mobile was, at that time, it was the very early ages, well, the very early stage for actually mobile internet back then. And उस वक्त even a mobile site, what we used to call a website, was, looked like rocket science to our customers.
Absolutely.
Of course, we know that really wasn't the case. They were pretty simple to do, but we took advantage of that. And for us, we always saw that as the mobile as actually the next stage for the laptop, because we just felt that this was something in your hand. It was connected all the time, or it could be connected all the time. There was constant access. SMS, of course, with its non-intrusive nature, being able to flash or send a message to anybody in the world with a mobile phone, this was where communication was heading.
Absolutely.
So that's how we decided to get into this as early as we did.
We would like to take a very short break. I'm just loving the conversation so early in the show, but I will get right back to you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a short break, and I'll see you right back at Firestarter.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abid Ismail Khan, and I am working as a senior project manager in Evamp Saanga. I started as a software engineer. So after this, I got the opportunity to travel abroad to get some value-added services training. I have traveled in India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, UAE, UK on business visits. From there, I got the training and deploy services in Pakistan. I was the first guy in Pakistan who deployed the value-added service like voice signaling system in Pakistan. So after this, we have deployed in many other operators in Pakistan. Companies also taking care of employees very much, and Also, the colleagues here are very good. So this is a key thing. Also, I was getting the opportunity to learn new things. That's why I'm here from the last 7 years, and don't have a plan to leave soon.
माय नेम इज़ आमिर शिदाद और मैं यहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट 1 ईयर से हूँ. इससे पहले मैं मेडिसिन्स में था और इट्स रियली नाइस अपॉर्चुनिटी ओवर वर्किंग ओवर हियर विद माय बॉस एंड विद ऑल ऑफ माय टीममेट्स. और यहाँ पे अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी ग्रो करने के लिए आईटी फील्ड में और हमारे सॉफ्टवेयर फील्ड में.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. After this break, we are joined with Anwar Khan Saab, the managing partner of Evamp Saanga. Lovely name, by the way, once again.
Thanks.
So before the break, we were talking about you stepping into mobile technology.
That's right, yeah.
Tell me something. Your background did not meet, and you were working, and you were telling me it was the financial industry.
Yeah.
And that was the time jahan pe financial industry took this huge boom, and everybody made instantly a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of promotions were there. New banks were budding here and there.
Yeah.
And you had come back to Pakistan, okay, to your own homeland, and you wanted to start a business.
Yeah.
Didn't you face any sort of, जो जिस तरह typically लोगों को face होता है, have you lost it, अच्छी नौकरी छोड़ रहे हो, why are you doing this, business में risk होता है, हमारे खानदान में कभी किसी ने business कामयाब, at least that's what I was told by my dad, खुदा, God bless him, but that's what he told me.
Yeah.
And yes, I had to start it, you know, behind his back and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What were the problems that you went through? Where did the financial influx come from? Where did the idea pop by?
Right. Well, I think I start off with the you know, the forces sort of holding you back rather than pushing you forward. Luckily, you know, for me to start in that respect was very easy. My parents, you know, they still are very encouraging in whatever I do. Even when I've taken maybe perhaps wrong decisions,
they've that's part of learning.
That's the part of it. So you know, they never really, you know, pressured me. Catcha, you know, this is a you know, banking is a respectable industry and all of that. Luckily for me. And so, you know, for them, I told them that, you know, this is what I was going to do. And they said, well, you know, why don't you go back to university and that'll give you time to think about it. And I agreed, and I actually applied for university, and I went, it was a university in London, and I was going to do another degree in e-business.
Oh, okay.
And on my flight, well, actually when I got there, I realized that at that time there was actually no textbook on e-business. So there was nothing printed in 2000 that would be an academic sort of reference to e-business. And so what the university showed me were photocopies from magazines and things that I was already reading, and case studies from the internet. And I said, you know, I don't need this. I mean, why should I be paying these guys
for this?
For this?
I can educate myself.
Exactly. So I was like, you know, I've read a lot of this, and it still really doesn't, you know, clarify anything for me. And so neither will these guys. And I decided that I'd rather put my money elsewhere, and you know, in a better investment.
Fantastic.
And I hope this is not the wrong lesson for viewers. But
I will commend you on it, because that's agar aap baat complete kare, and I will tell you the exact same thing I just told one of my students hardly yesterday.
Yeah.
So
okay. So well, you know, the only promise that I've actually broken in the early stages to my parents was that, you know, let me just start off, and I'll, you know, take some of this money from my university fees and start a business with it, and then after a couple of years I'll go back and do the degree again. And this sound, you know, for them it sounded like something that I really would do, because perhaps they just thought that this is something I wanted to try, and they wanted to let me do it. And you know,
they were much supportive.
I've been, yeah, I was well support, you know, I was given a lot of support by them, and I think that saw me through. And the tech industry, why the tech industry? Yes, you're right. You know, there's a massive boom back then. Doing it in Pakistan was, of course, entirely different. Unfortunately, the ecosystem wasn't there back then. They were to support, you know, to support this, whether it was at the government level or even at the enterprise level. Many people didn't feel it was important enough, and so on. Unfortunately, you know, the ecosystem is still trying to
Evolving,
sort of
बिल्कुल.
evolving, and it's still trying to
And
build
this
up.
is, I reckon, this is one of the very few industries which still has space. Which
Plenty
still
of
has
space.
a
I
lot of
completely
space
agree
and
with
a
you,
lot of
yes.
initiative taking can be done.
Yeah.
A lot of areas are still untapped.
That's right.
So that's
You're right. You're right. And you know, I think it's just a matter of time, because with the kind of connectivity we have in Pakistan, there are very few other countries in Asia where the internet is available everywhere, where it is so cheap, where mobile is available everywhere.
and so cheap
It is
again.
so affordable, and I think that all of that put together just makes this an industry which has yet to capitalize on this massive market that's
and to reach
connected.
its boom and to reach
Yeah.
its peak, you know.
Yeah.
जो आप बात कर रहे थे, a student of mine came over yesterday for a reference letter for the university abroad, and I told him, my question to him was, which university is it?
Yeah.
So it was a run-of-the-mill university
Right.
in London, and I said, बेटा कितने पैसे लगाओगे इस पे?
Yeah.
He was like, sir, approximately 3 million, 3.5.
Yeah.
मैंने कहा यहाँ से MBA क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो?
Yeah.
One of my mentors once told me, do it either from the best over there
Yeah.
or the best over here.
Absolutely. agree
Otherwise,
with you.
don't do it at all.
That's right. Yeah.
वरना मत करो.
बिल्कुल.
Because Pakistan में universities are as good as there.
Yeah.
अगर वहाँ पे किसी in the street university से करना है
बिल्कुल.
और सिर्फ कि जी मैंने लंदन से डिग्री की है,
बिल्कुल.
unless and until you're doing it from the top
Yeah.
college there,
Yeah.
don't do it at all.
Yeah.
और उन पैसों की बेहतर जगह पे यूज करो, अपने
Absolutely.
बिजनेस में यूज
बिल्कुल.
करो, which
बिल्कुल.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now I have a
So it's
reference point
yeah,
for
so
it.
absolutely. So it's an investment, and like you said, you know, you have to choose where you
It's
put
the
your
opportunity
investment.
cost, and you have to decide कि जी which is much more viable
बिल्कुल.
and which way to take it forward.
Bilkul. And you know, the time that you spend, I mean, that is perhaps a greater investment than the cash that you're putting forward. So this, I would tell any entrepreneur or anybody who wishes to become an entrepreneur to capitalize on the time, because there is no better time than now to
Bilkul.
start a business.
बिल्कुल, absolutely. Initially क्या problems आई? एक तो enterprise level पे there was no support. People had not heard of IT companies that much
Yeah.
at that time. I mean, we're actually talking about the time जब people were learning to use ATM cards for that matter.
Yeah.
And you were
Right.
talking about the web, you were talking about getting set up for their websites,
Yeah.
and we're talking about vast products. So
Yeah.
you're talking rocket science to them.
Well, yeah.
What sort of problems that you had to face? Was the resource hard to come by?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. The good part about technology is that if you have the basics, that's all that you need as a building block to take things up. So yes, finding good resources, not even the right resources. I mean, just finding good resources was a challenge. And I'm lucky because we started off at a time where there were a lot of students coming into IT universities back then, and so we picked up some good, intelligent kids. On the technology side, my business partner was he's very seasoned, so he helped them grow.
So he was very hands-on about.
He was very
technology.
hands-on, absolutely. So while I was looking at the business side of things, he was looking at how to build the team, how to mature them to a point where they can start delivering products. So yes, the timing was tough, and I think the other challenges that we found were, of course, I think the general mentality in Pakistan. It doesn't encourage small businesses in any way.
Absolutely.
Right? You have issues with nepotism, so everybody feels that their nephew or their son, perhaps, who's done a degree in
The
IT,
same, they
can do a better
better.
job. Yeah,
Bilkul.
they don't think about quality issues, they don't
Bilkul.
think about sustainability, they don't think about time to market.
Bilkul.
And incidentally, this was also the case for some of the biggest organizations in Pakistan back then. Even the telco sector, actually, that was that was a big customer of ours. So the challenge was actually to find the right people in the telco sector for us, or in the industry, who would give us the time of day to listen to what we have to say.
Bilkul. The idea, and people were not that open to ideas as well.
That's right. Yeah. So yes, and of course, of course, I've been through that stage also. But when you're young and you're fresh out of university, and you still feel that you know everything. And so a lot of our customers were like that. So we had all these people who had much less work experience telling us that we didn't really know what we were talking about, and they knew better, and so
Absolutely.
we shouldn't waste their time. So we faced a lot of that in the beginning.
You're so spot on that.
Yeah.
Let us just get back to that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short break and we'll join you right back after the break.
My name's Amina. I've been with Evamp Saanga for a few months now. I started my career with this firm and then moved on to other things and then came back here. One thing that I like about this place, it's very homely. Everyone knows each other and they're very supportive. The thing that I like about my boss is he's been supportive all through my career. I started working with him, then moved on to other things, stayed in touch. He advised me. He's been a mentor. When I came here, it feels like you're just coming back home. The reason for me to come back here was I worked in the development sector for a bit, and then I realized that I like the corporate side better, which a lot of people wouldn't say, and that's politically incorrect, but still, that's the truth.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're joined with Anwar Khan. So thank you so much for joining us. Before the break, we were talking about this crucial time that you had to pass through, and this tough time that everybody else was giving you, and people who thought they know it all and convincing them that they don't, which is the hardest thing about it. So now circling back, while you were growing in this industry, mashallah, and you were persistent about it and you were dedicated to it and you were not only struggling through it at some level, but you were also mentoring and encouraging youngsters to come into this field.
Right.
Unlike other countries, we don't have venture capitalists here, we don't have angel investors here. Incidentally, another one of the interviews that we did was we were actually told that yes, you do have angel investors here.
Yeah.
You just have to look at the right places.
That's right.
And the idea should be strong enough so that the people latch on and you take it forward.
That's right.
Did you need that sort of help at some level?
Well, no. I fortunately, managed to bootstrap the company, and I think I'm, probably one of the lucky ones that became profitable within, the first 1.5 years of business.
Lovely.
And alhamdulillah, we've grown organically since then. So we haven't required any funding. In fact, right now, as you mentioned, we're also in a position to fund good ideas. We're talking to 2 companies right now, 2 startups right now that are looking for funding. And this is again seed funding. So this is not huge amounts of money, but it's enough funding
Just
to
keep them going.
exactly to get the entrepreneur going through the first year of business. And again, I would encourage people that rather than gunning for investment very early on, everyone should try to at least get get to a beta version of their business on their own, and then people will be willing to invest.
Keep it simple and
Yeah,
keep it right.
absolutely.
Bilkul. And you
Yeah.
don't have to get into the rocket science since
Bilkul.
day one.
Bilkul.
The dilemma at hand is that people think that unless and until you have a huge investment,
No,
get
you
not
don't.
started.
You don't need a huge investment to start up. It's always much more, effective and much more interesting and attractive for investors to see a very basic version of a business in front of their eyes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And the idea needs to be strong.
The idea needs to be strong, and more than that, the guy pushing the idea needs to be strong. So the dedication actually comes out through various things, like a very strong business plan that shows that you've thought about.
And which actually a lot of these youngsters lack nowadays.
That's right. A
They
lot of
don't
them
take
lack
that
it.
time.
You're right. And some of them that have even made a business plan, they fail to make basic commitments like a time to
Timelines नहीं
meet
कर
you.
सकते.
Absolutely.
They're late for the
They're late for
meetings.
meetings.
That shows
Absolutely.
the lack of professionalism in the first
Absolutely.
place.
Yeah.
And
So
lack of that you are not dedicated enough.
yeah, absolutely.
So, are there any forums that we can, or the youngsters can actually look up to, that are actually encouraging or supporting young entrepreneurs?
Sure. There are plenty of them. And interestingly, none of these organizations or forums were around 10 years ago, or many of them were not even around 5 years ago. So you've seen this massive, impetus towards encouraging students and small
And this
businesses.
shift in this.
Yes, there's been a
area.
huge shift. To name a few that I've actually been I've participated on as whether as a mentor or as a panelist or just in a limited capacity. But for example, NUST has an incubation center.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, which
Lovely.
is they're doing some great work. They recently did a huge initiative called Discover, and there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Azhar Rizvi who's based out of Karachi, who's doing a lot of work. He was one of the key members to do this initiative at NUST. Incidentally, he also helps prime businesses from they take them on from early stages into faster accelerated growth
Lovely.
via a platform that is under the MIT Michigan Institute of Technology's
Ooh, wow.
Enterprise Forum, and they're doing some great work. In fact, MIT's Enterprise Forum Pakistan is actually a flagship for their initiative globally.
Fabulous.
They've done some great work. They've built $20 million businesses out of literally businesses that were worth less than $500,000 over a span of a couple of years.
I'm impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
like me, I reckon a lot of our this would be news to a lot of our viewers.
Yeah,
as well.
I think it was news to me when I first ran into these people in these organizations. The Business Support Fund is another great organization.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
They're actually collaborating, I believe, with the universities around town.
Yes, that's
And-
right. They're actually doing it with universities now. They're also actually aiding small businesses go to the next step, similar to what the MIT Enterprise Forum is doing.
So there's a lot of work being done.
There's a lot of work being done. So if you're a small business and you don't really don't really understand how to get to the next level, there are these organizations doing it. Organizations such as seminars or programs handled by, for example, NUST or the ICT R&D Fund, which are there to groom students and even to groom teachers and professors, help them understand entrepreneurship and encourage it in
Absolutely,
in the
and that's the way
universities.
it should be. Because
Absolutely.
Advice for our young viewers out there who are aspiring to be you right now, sitting at home. Yes, I
Right.
will be him. I'll buy his company off, whatever. So, what would be your advice to them?
Okay, well, I guess there's, you'll get a plenty of free advice from everybody you talk to. So I hope this is worth the time that I'll be putting into it, in the sense that, there's no actually one way, or there's no easy way to do it. Entrepreneurship is hard work. You need to, stay intelligent about it and stay realistic about it. But I guess if you really take, some of the most critical factors to getting you off into starting a business that is profitable, one of the things that I've learned is focus. You really need to be absolutely clear on what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and you can't be distracted by other things which may actually help you get to your end goal, but you'll just take a lot longer. So you need to limit the number of things that you're doing at one time, or the number of places that you're investing your funds or your time, and
you have
stay
to stay
absolutely
focused.
clear. Yeah,
Absolutely.
stay absolutely focused. Another thing that I would say is absolutely essential is basic housekeeping, and that's something that a lot of people still don't do. I see a lot of small businesses that don't do it, and I don't think they'll actually ever get into the next stage of being medium-sized or large-sized businesses. And when I say housekeeping, I mean keeping your house organized internally. So you need your accounts to be done properly. You should have your contracts done on time. You should maintain project plans for yourself personally
So
as
the
a business.
paperwork should be spick and span
Yeah.
and A to Z. complete.
Absolutely, yeah. And you don't need to do unnecessarily huge amounts of paperwork. I mean, you just need to stay organized, and you need to use small tools now. Your laptop has so many tools that will help you stay
Absolutely.
organized and stay very clear about what
And
you're
take
doing.
regular backups, because
And take
you
regular
never know.
backup.
when-
That's a part of housekeeping.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I guess the third most important thing is determination. So if you're the kind of person who is going to give up because your first 5 customers said no,
It won't work.
it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
So you need to be determined, and you need to be determined enough to actually see what you're doing, take a step back and understand, and then try to figure out the other way to get to the customer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
It's
for
been a
your
pleasure.
precious time, for this amazing opportunity to come and
Thank
meet
you.
you, and
Thank you.
our audiences. I'm so sure they loved meeting you.
Great.
Thank you so much
I
for
hope so.
joining us.
Thank you for all your time, and
It was an absolute
good
pleasure.
luck.
It was. Thank you so much.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Anwar Khan, with his own words himself. You've heard it from the man himself. Determination, focus, housekeeping, but it depends which sort of housekeeping we're talking about.
yeah.
Join us again, stay tuned, and give us your feedback on the link below right now. Thank you so much. Hope to see you next week. God bless. Good night.